All right, welcome everybody. Jacob, if you want to share the slides, I can kind of tee it off here. So if you haven't already met Jacob, he's from GymMembersNow, one of the owners and founders. Correct me if I am wrong. And Becca here, I'm the marketing. We'll call me marketing expert. I work for Andy Breton as his marketing manager and involved in Mastermind as well. So we have a little bit different of a marketing call today, rather than kind of tee it off. I know usually we have some updates for you guys on stuff going on in corporate marketing and some kind of action steps for the month. For this month's kind of monthly marketing calls, kind of talking all about ads, whether you're working with an agency or you're running them themselves, whether with running them with GymMembersNow or someone else, kind of what you need to know to make sure you're getting the most out of your marketing dollars when it comes to the actual ads and audience themselves, to reaching out and the messaging to those leads. So Jacob's going to kind of start us off. I'm going to kind of interject here and there and kind of recap it at the end. But I'm going to turn over to him.
Awesome. Well, appreciate that. So I am Jacob Middleton. I own GymMembersNow, and we're a marketing agency. All I'm trying to do today is educate you guys on what I've learned over the last almost 6 years now, running ads for over 1,000 gyms. I've spent quite a bit of money, and my business partner is Andy Gunlock. So he has a lot of Anytime Fitnesses, and we spend a lot of money on marketing, so we've learned a thing or two. So just want to make sure you guys can see my screen.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, cool. So really, how do you crush digital marketing? How do you really do a good job of it? And this is whether or not you're working with me. This is whether or if you're doing it on your own, working with another agency. This is all I really want to do here, for the next half hour or however long we go, is just educate you guys on some things that really allow you to generate the type of return that you're probably looking to generate, and the easiest levers to pull to make that happen. So the first thing is targeted marketing. And really what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through what that is, kind of explain to you guys my definition of that, and then compare it to mass marketing. So the benefits of both and the cons to both, and really the impact that targeted marketing can have owning a brick and mortar gym within a local market if done right. And then next, what I'm going to go over is maximizing shows on the leads you generate. So I'm sure if any of you guys have ever worked with a marketing agency before, or you've run your own ads before, or even just getting leads from your website, a lot of the times when you try and contact these people that submit their information, it's not easy. It's not easy, number one, to get in front of them quick. And number two, it's not easy to get them to walk through the door, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done to qualify them, schedule an appointment, confirm their appointment, reschedule them if they don't show up for their appointment. I'm sure we've all experienced that person that reschedules multiple times. So point being, if you're spending money on marketing or you're generating leads, which we all are, you need to have your follow-up process to nurture those leads in place. Because if you don't, you're just not going to get the opportunity to make money off the marketing you're doing. And that's the whole purpose of marketing, is to make more than you spend. So what I'm going to do too, just as an example to illustrate how powerful this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys an example throughout this presentation of what happens when you do targeted marketing and you have a very effective lead nurturing process to get these leads to come through the door. Really what can happen compared to doing mass marketing and not having a very robust follow-up process in place. And in this specific example, across 9 of Andy Breton's gyms, what we found was everything else was the same. The markets were the same in terms of the gyms we were running ads at. The ad spend was almost the same. We spent a little bit less. The offer was the same. The only thing that was different was the time between when we ran the ad, and it was only 45 days. But what ended up happening is he was able to get 9 times more sales while using both of these, really just leveraging both of these two things in unison compared to mass marketing. He was able to get 9x the sales on the same amount of ad spend. So when you really look at that, if you could, just keep doing what you're already doing and change a couple things and end up getting 9 times more sales because you made a couple tweaks, that would probably be worth a whole lot to most of you guys. So really, again, that's what I'm going to walk through here is what these things are and how you guys could really implement this and just educate you on the importance of it so that you guys can get more money for the money that you're currently spending. And even if you're not spending money, again, just really educate you guys on the importance of this, so that you guys can get more sales. So mass marketing compared to targeted marketing. So this is just a definition from an article, peer-reviewed business article that I pulled off the internet, but I'm just going to read through this. That way we're all on the same page. When it comes to marketing, there are 2 broad approaches that businesses can take: mass marketing and targeted marketing. Mass marketing refers to a marketing strategy where a company promotes its products or services to a large audience with the hope of reaching as many people as possible. In other words, it's a one-size-fits-all approach that assumes that everyone will be interested in the same thing. So that's mass marketing. That's not what we're talking about here. On the other hand, targeted marketing is a more personalized approach that focuses on reaching specific groups of people based on their interests, behaviors, and demographics. Rather than trying to appeal to everyone, targeted marketing aims to connect with people who are most likely to be interested in what the company has to offer. So the main difference between mass marketing and targeted marketing is that the former is broader and more generic, while the latter is more specific and tailored. Both approaches have their own benefits and drawbacks, and the choice of which to use depends on the business's goals and resources. So really what this is saying is, mass marketing is good for getting a simple message out to the masses, but because of that, there are some drawbacks. And then it's really speaking to targeted marketing, and what that is allowing you to meet people where they're at based off who they are, their interests, their behaviors, rather than trying to appeal to everyone. So that's really what we're diving into here is if you're running ads right now and it's the same ad copy, it's the same images, same headline, and you're running that everyone in your market, all different age groups, men and women. That's kind of a mass marketing approach where you're sending the exact same ad to everyone versus targeted marketing where you're looking at breaking out the marketing that you're doing into different audiences and then speaking directly to them in a personalized approach rather than just trying to appeal to everyone. So that's just so we have the definitions, we're all on the same page here. That's really what we're talking about, and that's what we're going to walk through, just showing the impacts that it kind of has in an example with Andy Bertone's Anytime Fitnesses. So here are some pros and cons to mass marketing. So first pro, large reach. So by targeting a broad audience, businesses can potentially reach a larger number of people, which can be beneficial for creating brand awareness and introducing new products. So number one here, first, when it comes to having a gym, it's not like you're an e-commerce brand like Amazon where you're marketing across the world. You're marketing to a very specific audience within probably no more than a 10-mile radius of your gym. In some situations, you might not even be going out that far. Some gyms don't want to go out even 2 miles, depending on the density of their market. But the point here is this doesn't really apply for this situation. Economies of scale. So just for the definition, when producing and distributing products on a large scale, businesses can often achieve cost savings due to economies of scale, which can help lower prices and make products more affordable for consumers. So again, this doesn't apply to the situation that we're talking about. And then simple message, mass marketing messages are typically simple and easy to understand, which can make them more memorable and effective in some cases. So, when you think about this, it's kind of like join for $1. Everyone knows this. It's a simple message, and it's effective. But just again, this is just so that it's a clear thing that everyone kind of gets. Now, the drawbacks are lack of personalization. So mass marketing does not take into account the differences, needs, and preferences of individual consumers, which can lead to a lack of relevance and engagement. So That's a big drawback because we know when it comes to having a limited budget, you're competing with a bunch of different people running ads in your market. You want to be able to get a high engagement. You want people interacting with your ads. You want them commenting, liking it, so that it can stand out against the noise, especially against your competitors. And if you're doing a mass marketed type ad like Planet Fitness would do with, cancel at any point, $10 a month, it's a very generic approach. So if you can't stand out against that, you're going to fall underneath all of it. So higher cost is another drawback. So again, when it comes to this, that's not good because most of you guys are on a budget that you can't afford to take a chance to spend more money on conversions. You want to try and get leads for as little as possible. And then the last thing is just lower conversion rate. So with a broad target audience, mass marketing campaigns may not appeal to everyone, which can lead to lower conversion rates and less return. So again, really not what we're trying to do here. Mass marketing does have its place, but when it comes to the situation we're talking about with direct response marketing for a local gym in a local market, it's really not the best way to go. In my opinion, it's kind of a lazy way of doing things. And just for context, when I first got into this, started doing marketing for gyms, that's how I first started doing. But I switched to targeted marketing because it got better results. So that was just where I ended up through testing so many different things and me and my team spending over, I think we spent over $20 million now. So spending a lot of money testing stuff. And the majority of our customers have been anytime fitnesses. So just really figuring out what works, and targeted marketing just gets our customers better results. So now going over some pros that targeted marketing has. So relevance, it says targeted marketing messages are tailored to specific consumer segments. So like I was saying earlier, instead of just sending the same ad out to everyone, you're speaking directly to different market segments to make it be tailored to them. So you're able to connect with them, which leads to a more persuasive ad that makes people take action at a higher rate. So then you can see here, this can lead to a higher conversion rate and increased customer loyalty. But the whole idea here is that you're definitely going to get a higher conversion rate, which means you're going to spend less to get more when it comes to comparing it to mass marketing. And then the next thing, pretty much what I just said, it's cost effective. So by focusing on specific consumer segments, businesses can often achieve savings by using targeted marketing channels that are more efficient and cost effective than mass marketing channels. Pretty straightforward. Better data. When it comes to this, yeah, this is something, but again, we're not really focused on this. It's just the fact that if you do use targeted marketing in a local market, especially when it comes to advertising for a gym, you're able to stand out against the noise because most of your all's competitors are doing the lazy approach, which is good news for you. Even if you are doing the mass marketing kind of lazy approach, because your competitors probably are as well. So this is a very simple way for you to outperform them and stand out in your market and position your gym in a way that it looks like it's a gym for these specific market segments and not just a gym for a very broad audience. Even though we're going to capture the entire market, we're just going to speak directly to each market segment in a more personalized way. And then the cons are limited reach. So it says by focusing on specific consumer segments, businesses may miss out on potential customers who don't fit into those segments. So the way that I do it, that's not an issue because we literally advertise to the entire market. We're just splitting them up within 10 sub audiences. And then complexity. So all this really means is it's harder to do. So it requires more work. If you look at mass marketing, just having one audience, I'll kind of skip ahead here. If you look at mass marketing, if you guys are familiar with the ads manager, this is kind of what it looks like. You just have one ad set where you're advertising to everyone. So this is the ad set where you can see our nomenclature we use where it says men and women. It's a 6-mile radius around the gym. There's 135,000 people, and then there's 18 to 65 plus year olds in this audience. But to the left of it is the targeted marketing ad campaign build. So this is the structure that we have, but you can see here, there's a bunch of different audiences that are all different. So you've got men 50 to 59, women 50 to 59. And then you have ads within each one of those audiences that are different. Where with this, it's the same ad for everyone. So if we just go back to this, you can see the complexity. The complexity is 10x what a mass marketing type ad is, but when it comes to spending thousands of dollars a month and being on a budget and relying on this to grow your business, because you really do need it if you're trying to get past the averages, which I'm sure all you guys are trying to do. That's why you're investing and working with Mastermind, is to be one of the best. It just takes some more work. So it's definitely worth it. And I'm going to kind of keep going through this and review some results to just show you guys how powerful it really can be. Then the last one is privacy concerns, which doesn't really apply because Apple's done some stuff with that. So now if we just look at an example, again, to just illustrate what I'm really talking about when I say mass marketing, this is what a mass marketing type ad would look like. So it's just an ad where it doesn't really seem to speak to anyone. Maybe in this one it's like women, but it doesn't necessarily call them out. It's not calling out the market. It's not really speaking to a specific age group. And some things you could start thinking of with this would be like women that just had a child, men that are going through a midlife crisis in their 50s, all these different market segments that have their own pain points, they have their own goals and desires. If you can speak directly to them and catch their attention, you're going to have a much higher conversion rate than something like this, right? So if you just look at these ads now, this would be an example of a more targeted ad. So you can see here, we're calling out the town. It's speaking to women, letting them know, hey, if you're a girl within this age group, stay tuned because this applies to you. And then again, the cool thing about this is you can make sure that it's only getting sent to those people if you structure your ad campaigns in that way that only women between the ages of 30 to 39 are seeing them. And then same with men. And then within the ads themselves, you can now put in there what their goals are, what their pain points are, to really speak directly to them. So again, a little bit more complex to do if any of you guys are familiar with making ads, but it's not it's well worth it. So this is just showing you guys the example of Andy Breton's gym. So here on the left was when he was working with a marketing agency, and they were running a transformation, and the way that they were doing the ads was a mass marketing approach. And because of that, you'll see the results. Here was him working with my agency, and we take a more tailored, targeted approach. So what you can see here is the total number of leads that were generated, the total amount of money that was invested into the ads, and then a cost per lead. And like I said initially at the start of this, the main thing here is this was just a split test. The variables were all kept the same. The only difference was the time that the ads were run. So the ads with the other agency that Andy worked with were run back in March of this year. And then we started working with him in the middle of, I think, May. So it was about 45 days between when they ran their ads and when we started running our ads. That was the only difference. So if anything, we got closer to summer, which Andy Breton's gyms are in the Northeast. And, in the Northeast, when it comes to summer, people are going outside. So I would say, if anything, it's maybe a little bit more difficult. But the cool thing about this is that this is really a side-by-side just showing the impact of, doing targeted marketing versus mass marketing. So what we see is we were able to generate 577 leads, and they were able to generate 134, which resulted in 4.3 times more leads, but we actually spent less money. And so when you look at that, we actually generated 5 times more leads by just running ads like this. A little bit more complex, but we got 5 times more leads. So if you just think about that, if you regularly spend $1,000 a month in marketing, and you're currently doing mass marketing, or you're working with an agency and they're currently doing it like that, if you could get them to switch it, or if you could switch your ads and just put a little bit more work into it, you could potentially get 5 times more leads. So if you're right now getting, let's say, 50 leads, you could potentially get 250 leads for the same amount of money that you're spending. So it really is, it can really impact things a lot. The only caveat to this is you need to know what works, and to know what works, you've got to do a bit of testing, which requires spending some money. But knowledge is power, and again, if you can figure it out, you can potentially get 5 times more for the same amount. This is just another example from a client that we work with. This is not an Anytime Fitness. It's a workout anytime in Tennessee. But this is a screenshot straight out of my ad account. This was just this past Sunday. We turned their ads on, doing the targeted marketing approach. We generated 55 leads on 62 bucks. And then these are the appointments from those leads that we generated. So on Sunday, this is what their calendar looked like for the week just from our ads. This doesn't represent anything organic that they had, anything that went to their website. This is just what came through our stuff. So we literally had to turn the ads off because we got way too much. We didn't have any availability to book people on the calendar. But again, this is just showing you the impact that doing it like this can have. And if you want to say anything, Rebecca, feel free, because I'm about to go to the next one.
Yeah, I think just kind of with the targeted marketing too, just the emphasis on it being the audience and the messaging that you're using. Because I think you don't have to go back to the example, but the main difference between those two ad sets too, less so you can change the creative, but it was calling out the specific area. The messaging was tailored to that specific age group. So the more that within your ads you can target those, speaking to different groups of people, you want to call out different things is going to help versus just trying to get to as many people as possible. Because of course, the one, if you go back to the other slide there too, sorry, the one above it. There we go. Because those aren't bad images, and the wording is still focused on that same kind of offer of doing the transformation. A lot of those images could still be used in those other ads, but the focus being on that image maybe is used for a client of that age group would be a great example of kind of how some of that targeted marketing would look in those different ad sets too. We've run a couple where we did a women's strength and then did different age groups for that as well, some older, some younger. And I think it's a underutilized way because you don't want to have so much in there that the ads takes long to start learning and testing, but enough where you'll see which age groups too are maybe performing better than others, and you can dive into those as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, this is high level. This is just very macro. At a later date for maybe another one of these presentations, I can actually go into the specifics of actually how to do this and build it out. But really, it's not too complicated. The cool thing about marketing nowadays is that you can decide who you run ads to. You can pick your audience. So you can only show ads to men. You could only show ads to men that are 30 years old if you wanted to. So we just take advantage of that capability. And then we've tested so extensively to find out what works best for that niche, for that sub audience. And because of it, we're able to get a lot better results. So the next thing that I want to talk about is just proper lead nurture. So obviously, running your ads in the most effective way is very important to get a bunch of leads. But like I said at the start, if you don't have an effective process in place to follow up with leads immediately in a personalized way, and then obviously have open availability to book them, then you're going to end up wasting a lot of money on marketing or just missing a ton of potential sales because of the fact that you don't have that in place. So this is just a Harvard Business Review from back in 2018, highlighting across thousands of businesses that they did this study at, highlighting the importance of speed to lead. So all it's showing is if you don't get in front of leads within 5 minutes, the chances of getting them to convert, come through your door, sign up, book an appointment, drop a lot. It's over 400%. And that was back in 2018. So, this is another one from Stanford in 2023, just showing the impact again that not following up with leads in a fast way, what that result will have. And the the getting people to show up at the highest rate, it's a speed to lead thing, but it's two other things as well. It's having a personalized message, just like the ads, not being generic, having a personalized message, not a robotic message, not an automated type message, and then having availability. Because if you guys don't have open availability and good availability for people to schedule an appointment, they're not going to book an appointment, right? People book times that work for them, unfortunately, not for times that work for us. So, keep those three things in mind. That speed to lead is going to be the biggest lever you can pull, but then personalizing your messaging, just connecting with them, giving them a phone call as soon as possible to just do some fact finding, do some digging, and then having availability to get them in as soon as possible. So these are just those studies. This is just an example showing the impact of this. Again, I run an agency and we do this for the people that we run ads for on the leads that we generate. But my business partner is Andy Gunlock. He owns 88 Anytime Fitnesses. And his president, Ryan Patterson, spoke with corporate and they told him that across the board for meta leads, Anytime Fitness as a company in America gets about 10 to 15% of them to show up. So that's like the average across the board when it comes to meta leads. So we're not talking about website leads that you guys get organically. When someone types in gyms near me and they click on your website and they're actually searching for a gym, when we're doing marketing on Facebook, it's called disruptive marketing. We're disrupting them, trying to catch their attention and get them to give us their attention and then opt in. It's completely different. Google is search based. So when people are looking for gyms, it's totally different. So I just want to clarify, if you're thinking, I get probably better results than that if you're not running ads, it's probably because those people are organic leads that you get without doing any marketing. It's because people are looking up gyms near them and they're going to your website, which is awesome. But because of that, all of these KPIs increase when it comes to book rate, show rate, close rate, all of that goes up a ton. When it comes to Facebook leads, that's the average across the board. And in this example, this is an Anytime Fitness that we work with. Their first 20 days, we had generated 93 leads on Facebook. These were not their website leads. These were leads that came through Facebook, and 55 of them showed up. So it just shows you the potential impact that this can have if you really have it down, where if it was 15% or let's say 10% on 100 leads, they would have only had about 10 to 15 people. The impact of that is massive. And then when you couple it with targeted marketing to get that volume of leads, it's an insane result that you can produce. So this is just another example kind of showing you this is a calendar. Anything blue is someone that showed up for their appointment. Anything green is a sale. And then anything red is just someone that didn't show up. So again, this is just showing if you have your follow-up process down on your leads, if you guys are calling immediately to book leads, if you guys are calling the day before to confirm their appointment, if you're calling the day of to confirm their appointment, the impact that it can have on your show rates and just having a full calendar. And then all this.
Sorry, Kevin.
You go ahead.
If you want to jump back to that 13 slide, just a thought I want to share too. Because I think we all have a process, I'm sure, for, as the lead comes into Club OS, it's assigned to someone, we want to reach out to them as soon as possible without per the term speed to a lead. I think especially what this emphasizes too is, that first 24 hours, it's only going to go down from there is, and even earlier than that is crucial. If a lead comes in at 1 a.m., I don't think anybody's expecting you to wake up in the middle of the night just to respond. But especially as a lead comes in, if you're running the ads yourself, you can get a note, set yourself to get a notification as soon as that lead comes in. If it comes into the system, whether it's a call or text, there's a lot we can do with automation now to make sure that it's sending them something, maybe an email automatically. There's not too much we can do when they go straight into Club OS to segment the messaging other than regular web leads. But if you're bringing the leads in elsewhere too, just making sure the team's equipped to know like what messaging are we sending out to these people as well, making sure they're getting the messaging that matches the ads, and of course as soon as possible too. And if you can't necessarily get to them within that first minute, that first 24 hours, just having enough volume where you are able to at least get a touch point in there and get in front of that person, virtually, is just going to help you increase that. I mean, because once that lead gets stale, it's going to be so much harder to kind of get them to remember maybe what ad they saw or what got them interested in the first place. They're going to be like, challenge, Anytime Fitness sounds vaguely familiar, but it's good keeping it fresh in their mind.
Yeah. And one thing to highlight here, guys, is this is not texting. This is calling, speed to call. So it's very easy to set up an automated text, but that's not what this is showing. This is showing the impact of calling. So I've tested out literally thousands of Anytime Fitnesses opting into their website to see how fast they respond. And you guys would be shocked. I'm sure you would probably be shocked if you tested your own team out to see how long it's taking them to actually call these leads, because that's really what you need to be doing. You need to be texting them, but you also need to be calling and emailing, but most importantly, calling, because that's what this is showing. And that's how you can personalize the messaging. If you send someone a text and they book an appointment, what do you think is going to have a better result? Them booking an appointment on a text, or you picking the phone up and having a 30-minute long conversation with them about what they've been going through in their life and why they opted in, and just building that pain, fact finding, and then booking the appointment and saying, we've worked with a ton of people in your situation. I'm looking forward to talking with you about this further. I think we can really help you out. I'm excited to talk. You're going to get a lot more people if you can do that. It's not easy to do. It definitely takes more work, but the impact of it is significant. So just want to make sure that we're on the same page with that too, is that this is calling. And then here is just showing the impact again on Andy Breton's when you compared it to a other agency. And the kind of funny thing about this is that this other agency was texting leads. It was an automated type of texting, but they were texting leads. They were not calling the leads. That was on the staff to do. And what you can see here is there were a lot more appointments and there were a lot more shows. So that has a big impact. So what you can see here is the cost per scheduled appointment was 120 to 15. So it ended up being 8 times more running the mass marketed way with just automated texting. And then the cost per showed appointment was 7 times more when you compared it, those two things combined. So this impact right here is pretty significant. But the most important thing when it comes to marketing and spending money to get a message out to try and get sales is, what am I spending to get a sale? And then also, how much am I collecting on that sale so that I can make more than I spend? So I left 3 blank because it's the most important thing, but the cost per sale, when you looked at this for this example, ended up being 9x, like I mentioned at the start. So Andy was spending $569 with this other agency, running the exact same promotion in the exact same markets. Everything else was the same, but the fact that we were running targeted ads and following up the leads via text and call. So if he was to spend $569 doing it the other way, he would get 9 sales. So that is the impact, and really just want to drive that home that this is stuff that you guys could do on your own right now, right? You guys could put more accountability on your staff to follow up with leads quicker. If you're the one that's supposed to be following up with leads, now you understand how important it is to get in front of these people quick, not just via text, but actually talking with them, communicating with them, and finding out what's going on and what made them opt in the first place. And if you do that, along with running ads in a more complex way, but in a way that gets more people to opt in, you're going to get much better results for the money you spend. So just kind of crazy how, if you guys do this, it can be a 9-day difference. And again, you can see here, this is just an example where it was the same markets, same offer, just a different way of doing it and having an effective follow-up in place, which resulted in a big difference. And that's it. Do targeted marketing, have effective lead nurturing in place to maximize shows. And then obviously with Mastermind, they've helped you guys a lot with converting people and turning people into multiple sales. So, I would probably say this is your all's some of your biggest levers you could pull right now, because I'm sure if you could get people through the door, you'll probably have a high degree of success with converting them.
Yeah, just to kind of wrap it up too, I wanted to come into, of course, I'm in my role specifically working for Andy. I'm his data girl. I track anything and everything, and I'm having conversations with a lot of people as well. And kind of just wanted to put together some kind of top questions you guys can ask yourself or whoever you're working with, especially if you're, at any point you can go on to Facebook and kind of see what ads are running on your page too. So you can see some of the creative, some of the messaging that's being presented out there. But there's questions, especially on the back end, just to get a better idea of what's being tested or run in your gyms. First one being audience, that's the big one with the target marketing. So who are we targeting? There's radius and the actual location. There's the demographics, the types of people, whether it's age, gender, interests, that can be targeted depending on the type of ads that you're running. Ongoing, what kind of changes are you making to the ads? Are the same ads been running since 2 months ago? Are they any differences? What's been testing? Is it messaging to certain groups of people? Is it different creatives testing, just to make sure that if you're starting to see that lead cost creep up, what kind of changes maybe can you make? Or on the opposite side of that, kind of towards the bottom, what kind of things can maybe you provide, whether it's images or information about the customers, kind of help target those ads a little bit more. What results are you looking for? Is it more of a focus on, getting as many leads as possible? Is it about targeting a certain group of people? Is it, just cost per lead? How are they engaging with the ads as well? There's a lot of different metrics you can look at. Of course, getting the most amount of people in front of you and closing the most amount of people is always going to be a good thing. But especially when you're thinking about how much you're spending in your clubs, do you want to increase spend? You need to decrease spend. A lot of it's coming down to how much, like acquisition costs, how much it's cost actually getting you a member. So not difficult things to track, just the things you want to make sure you're keeping in mind as you're meeting with people. One thing, I like to see what ones are the most top performing ones, if there's certain types that are working better than others, and why maybe they're better. Sometimes videos or images. There's people doing TikTok things out there now. What's getting you the most bang for your buck is always important. And any feedback either they have, or do we need to focus on booking, shows, close, where can we put most of our effort? So just a couple of things you guys can kind of keep in your back pocket to make sure, it's not just popping in a call every once in a while and be like, oh yeah, ads are on, and getting off the call. You want to make sure those have the most productive conversations, and things to think about if you're running your own as well. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they're any questions they might have about either running their own ads, targeted marketing wise, or questions to ask others?
One thing real quick, these are super important that I would like to add, is to give you guys some context. We check all of our clients' ads 3 times a day, and I have a team of 5 people that make optimizations daily. So if you're running your own ads, if you have an agency running ads for you, you don't want to set it and forget it. That's not how this works. It's a grind. That's as simple as I could say it. It is a ton of work where you need to be checking this regularly, literally daily, to see what audiences are doing well. If you're advertising to 10 different audiences, which ones are performing well? Where should you spend more money? And then also looking at some of this other stuff, where are you getting the lowest cost per lead? Where are you getting the most closes? And then looking at that, where aren't you getting closes, so that you can turn those ads off so you don't waste money. But to do that, you need to be checking this all the time and then testing new stuff out. It's just another word for optimizing, but just testing new stuff out to see what can get you a better result. But don't do it. If you're running your own ads, please, if you do anything, don't just set it and forget it and hope it works. You can really crush it with ads. You just need to put the work in to constantly optimize them and kind of prune them.
Yeah, Rob, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. So, Jacob, what type of language are you using to get people to show up? We do really well with closing, which is the only reason why we were looking at your company, because we just need to get them in the door. But we got to make sure that however they're getting them in the door, and we're right at the beginning of the boot camp right now, but we just want to make sure that they're not sort of getting the wrong impression. So once they get in, they're really, really excited. They get in, and then we talk to them. It's like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't even make sense. That's not why I was here. Like, what type of language do you guys are you using that is the most success to get them in? But that's also helpful to us who are doing the closing.
Are we working together? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not quite yet.
Okay, got it. So the way that it works is, like I said, the most important things are these three things: speed to lead, personalization, and availability. So we just capitalize on both of those. So with speed to lead, we're touching people immediately. So that right there has a massive, massive impact. It's just that most people don't do that. Most people do not get in front of leads instantly. So that's number one. And then in terms of the messaging, we're asking people what their goals are. You know, what are you trying to do? Why did you opt into this? Are you looking to lose weight? Are you looking to gain muscle? Are you looking to tone up? Are you looking to get in shape for summer? You know, why are you coming to us? Because from there you can then tailor the pitch, right? And then the last most important thing is the availability. So one thing that you'll see in this, with this, I can remember when I hopped on with you, Rebecca, to review your all's results. I was like, holy crap, your all's schedule rate, you know, you guys look and see 134 leads and there were only 43 appointments. It was ridiculously low. But you can see here, look at the difference in ours, 577 to 314. We got over 50% of them to book. Why? Because I made sure they increased their availability. The other agency didn't even go over that really with them because, I don't know, I guess they weren't really focused on that. But if you don't have good availability, you're not going to be able to get people to book. So those are the three most important things: is how quickly are you getting in front of people? What fact finding are you doing when you do speak with these people to tailor the message to them, to actually give them a reason to show up? And then lastly, having good availability so that people can actually schedule appointments. Because if you're generating this volume of leads, if you have a situation where you have effective marketing enough to get this many leads, you need great availability, because if you don't, you're going to end up getting leads that don't have time to book.
Yeah, but Jacob, do you have any maybe examples of like a script that when they call to like book or confirm that they might be, because I know there's an automatic booking in Allen, but like an example of what they might see in the phone in terms of the confirmation process? I think that might help too.
Yeah, I don't have one on me right now, but I could give you guys our script if you guys want it. We have a script that our team follows that is fact finding, you know, really just digging into their problems, asking them what they were looking to achieve, what they've been doing currently, what they've done in the past. It's pretty straightforward, but it's from Andy Gunlock. And if you guys want, feel free to email Chad. He's my head of client success, and I'll just let him know to send it over to you guys. Got no issue at all sharing that with you all. So if any of you all want that, please reach out to him and he can email that over to you. And then one other thing here is, if you guys want to speak with us, so we just review your marketing and just give you guys any feedback, feel free to book a call or reach out. Would be more than happy to do that, just to talk on your specific situation, if you're running your own ads or doing anything, and just try and help you in any way possible.
And if Jacob, if you wanted to send me that example too, I can put it in the notes for when I put the recording, just in case anybody wants to loop back to it as well.
Cool. The script.
Yeah, that way
Cool.
it's easy access there.
Yeah, and then one other thing that is super important for getting people to show up is just confirming the appointment on the phone the day before and the day of. So again, if you've ever worked with a marketing agency before, if you've ever run your own ads and generated a lot of leads, if you ever experience getting a lot of leads but not getting people to respond or not having people show up to their appointments, it's probably because you or your team were not calling to confirm the appointment the day before or the day of. So this is another step that has really, really big impacts on the show rate, which just results in more sales. So again, if that's something that you're not currently doing, I'd highly encourage it to just give people that do book an appointment a call the day before, just to make sure that they're ready to go. Let them know you guys have everything prepared for them, and then just give them a call the day of as well.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I got one more question.
Yeah, of course.
what is your take on using the company phone? Sometimes we get a lot of people that don't even answer the phone because we know it comes up as Anytime Fitness. And like, how do you tackle those type of individuals? Like, we just want them to hear our voice, which is the reason why I want people to call our staff to call initially, because it's so much more, like you said, much more personal than than that text message. But again, when it comes up as Anytime Fitness, they're driving like, I remember, you know what I'm getting at?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So I'm in a mastermind of my own for online businesses, and a lot of these companies have what they call LNS, lead nurture specialist, to fix this specific problem. So if I were to call you on my cell, Gym Members Now is going to pop up, which I hate because that's not what I want to have happen. But if I were to text you from Club OS, unfortunately, it's going to come from an Android, right? It looks automated. It's green. So what these companies do and what we've just started doing is we're texting people from an iPhone instantly once they opt in, because it comes up as an iMessage. So we naturally think, if you get an iMessage versus a green message that says stop, what does your brain immediately say? Oh, this is a real person versus, kind of, I might ignore that. So that would be the first thing. And then as far as calling, yeah. So, I mean, you definitely want to try and not use the gym phone, especially if the caller ID is popping up like that. And just try and get your team to be in the habit of using their own phone. I would probably say for tracking purposes to try first on the club phone. But if you really want to take it far, do it with multiple phones, where I've got multiple people on my team where, if we get a lead, we're calling from like 5 different phone numbers. One is not an iPhone, but the other 4 are. And it definitely it's definitely helped us get more sales.
It's funny, because we've talked about like voicemail drops, so like the automatic voicemail type things in these calls before. And it's almost the opposite, where I'm actually actively trying to get it to show the brand so it doesn't show up as spam. So like the alternative being spam to having the brand name, it's kind of a toss up in that respect. I will say I've done a couple of reading too, is at least not for calling. I think I would agree with everything you guys said. For some of the other automated stuff, it's like kind of the legal side is starting to catch up with making sure you have to do all this registration for texting and voicemails and stuff like that. So that's one advantage with the calls too, of kind of being able to play around with, where you're calling from. I will say some of our people have used Google Voice numbers as well too, if they're not comfortable using their own cell phone number, so that way they don't call them back directly. And I know some of our people just feel more comfortable with that.
You could even get a company iPhone and get a new number and just have your team use it, because the way the direction things have gone in the market, sophistication when it comes to sales, reach outs via text or call, most of us are very aware of if someone is trying to get our money. And so anything you can do to kind of conceal that will result in an improved result. So just something to think about. That's something that we're going to do as a company.
All righty. Well, I think I will be putting the recording up in the Facebook group as well too. So you guys, if you have any lingering questions, I'll tag Jacob and put also Chad's email in there too, if you guys have any additional questions on any of that or questions for me. But otherwise, we are good to go. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next month.